All righty, y'all. We are back. We are back. Captain Cody Davis here, as always, for what I believe is going to be episode number 5 of the Tight Splice Charters podcast here. And if I sound tired and if I sound beat down, it's because I am. But I almost didn't want to do one of these, but I thought this might be a perfect time because maybe it won't. As much as I try to, like, keep it as true and honest with you guys. When it's just me talking to a camera, I feel like I put on almost like a little bit of a different voice. And I hate listening to myself back. But I mean, everything I'm saying is true and honest with you guys. That's what I always do. But I feel like I almost have like a different type of the way I talk changes when a camera is involved. So I thought maybe if I sat down in front of the camera and did one of these while I was very tired and exhausted, I wouldn't try as hard or wouldn't be as stressed out or worried about it. And it might end up being a better product. So that's what we're doing. So we are here. I am tired. I worked this morning, had a morning trip, had to take care of some errands after, then spent the late afternoon throwing big plugs off of the Juno Beach fishing pier for some giant kingfish that were nowhere to be found. Just the name of the game. I actually brought the cameras, was going to try and make a pier fishing video for you guys, show you guys some 30, 40-pound kingfish skying on some big rapalas, catching them on spinning reels, but they were nowhere to be found. The mackerels and the Jack Crevalles were small ones, but no big kings. So I just got home, washed all my stuff, locked everything up, made some food, and now I'm ready to go to bed, but I decided to sit down and do one of these for you guys, and maybe for the last time in a while. And we're going to kind of get into that here, and I just want your guys' honest opinion on something. So as much as I love talking about fishing and as much as like I could sit down and talk to this camera, i.e. being you guys, I don't want to start making a sour product. I don't want to make, a rushed or just maybe the podcast or just me talking doesn't come out as good because it's just the same thing over and over. I have lists of guests that I want to have on. There's people I've reached out to that said they would come on. I want to do it just to have true fishing conversations. The problem is we just got through with the holidays. Everyone was extremely busy. And now my calendar is just totally booked up, really for at least like the next 2 months. So I'm going to have people on, but I want you guys to be honest with me. Do you guys think I should wait until I'm able to have guests on and then start doing the podcast more often again and just hold off until then? Or are you guys fine just clicking and listening to me ramble to a camera in a living room by myself? If you guys like listening to it, I will keep doing it because as much as I want to have guests on, and I will, and I'm going to, if you guys want to listen, I'll sit here and talk and just try to think of anything off the top I can. The amount of positive feedback I've gotten from this podcast deal, just the videos in general, but really the podcast, I mean, so many people that I can't believe listen to it. So it's pretty cool. So just be honest with me and let me know in the comments. The cool thing is I'm not a big production, right? I've literally got a camera and some wireless microphones. So I could do one anytime, any place if it lines up. But as far as planning to do one, I'm not in the place to do it right now. I do have a wife and kid to come home to and a house to tend to. So, I am been extremely busy. So that's that. Real quick, we'll kind of talk about being busy, then we'll try to move on to like Okeechobee or something. But I have been, without a doubt, a pain in the ass to get a hold of. And I want to apologize. Hopefully people are listening to this. If you were looking to book a trip with me, I'm all booked up in January, and I think I've got like 3 or 4 days left in February and like 4 days in March, 5 days in March. April is pretty open, but if you're looking to go in those next 2 months, let me know. Shoot me a text message. I am a pain to get a hold of, and it's not that I'm a pain to get a hold of, but I've said it before, my biggest fear in life is overbooking or double booking somebody. And what I mean by that is booking 2 different guide trips on the same day, and then, the night before, they're both calling me asking for what place and time we're meeting, and I'm like, oh shit. I don't want to do that. So there's times people will call and leave a voicemail, And I am not going to look at your voicemail or respond to your text message unless I have my calendar and my book in front of me. And that's just the way it is. I mean, some people get pissed off that I don't call them back in 30 minutes, and then that's fine. I get it. There's people that, they finally have a minute. They're busy too, and they want to make plans to come down to Florida. They want to get a trip, everything in stone before they come down here, and I get that. And I apologize that's just, I just can't do it. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a booking agent. I don't have anything that takes care of my scheduling for me. It's all on me, and I take it serious. So, like I said, there's 3, 4 days where I won't look at it. And sometimes these are people looking to give me deals on products. Sometimes these are sponsor opportunities that I literally don't listen to for 5 days because I know if I click on it, I'll say, oh, I got to remember to call him back, and I won't. So I wait until I have a free morning or a free afternoon where I can sit here and go through my stuff. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 3 hours. So your best bet is you can call, but shoot me a text message and just be blunt. I mean, just tell me like, hey, are you available on this day? And sometimes I'll off the top of my head, no, then you can move on. And I could even recommend other guides to you. But other times, it might sometimes it might sit 20 minutes. Sometimes it might sit 2 days. I'm sorry. I apologize for that in advance. That's just the way I do it to prevent mistakes. So, yeah, that's that. So I apologize for being a pain in the ass to get a hold of. But Lake Okeechobee, here's the deal, guys. It's no secret. I mean, the whole country just got pummeled by a polar vortex that came through. And we got it down here in sunny South Florida. It got down to below freezing for like 2 nights, which isn't that big of a deal to a lot of you, because I know a lot of you maybe listening to this were in the negatives, but that's a big deal for us. We don't get that. And it's a very big deal to our fish, especially down here on Okeechobee. So it brought the water down to like the low 50s, I think even 49 at some point. So the water got really cold really fast. And obviously that shocks our fish. So the fishing's been a total grind, live bait included. For most people, there has been some little windows where the shiner fishing's been phenomenal, in some certain little key areas. But it's been very wishy-washy, and especially for fishing, for artificial, it's been a total grind out there. Not just for me, not just for all the guides, for tournament anglers. I've been talking to tons of people, whether it's fellow guide buddies of mine, whether it's people that are guiding in and around me, whether it's people that are guiding on the complete opposite end of the lake from where I am that day. We have a phone chain going. We're all talking, and it's been tough. Now, we're all trying to stay positive because we are on what you want to be on. The best case scenario, we are on a warming trend right now. And we're on a warming trend coming off of one of the most severe fronts we've had in quite a while. So these fish haven't been actively, quote unquote, feeding for a few days. So really, I think over the next 3 or 4 days, keep up with me on social media. You might be seeing some some cool fish catches. So on social media, not on video. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, but these fish are gonna, as we get warmer and warmer, these fish, I believe, a lot of fish are gonna get on the bed. We did catch, even in the coldest day, I fished the day after Christmas, and I had a great group of people, and put a young man on a 10-pound fish, like a 10-1, I think she was, and like an 8-1 or something. I mean, 2 giant fish. Here's the deal with the 10-pounder. I weighed her on my catch commander, and she weighed 10-1. I weighed her I zeroed it out, weighed her again, she weighed 7-2. I weighed her again, she weighed 8-8, and then I weighed her again, she weighed 9-11. Like, my scale was all jacked up. So what I did was I took a piece of fishing line, measured the fish, cut it even, and then did the girth and gave the line to my clients to then go home and measure and do the equation, which is like length times girth divided by 1200 is what you get your weight. And that's an IGFA statement. It came out to 11 pounds, 8 ounces. Now, what do I always tell everybody? Okeechobee / Florida bass are much different when it comes to weighing them because our fish aren't as dense as other fish throughout the country. And I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but I worked in the taxidermy business for 3 or 4 years. I got to see fish come from, and like our 10 pounder is the surface area of like a 13 pounder somewhere else. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I see these, and no offense to other fisheries, but I see like these 6 pounders come from other fisheries throughout the country, and they look like our fours. You know what I mean? Like because their fish are more dense, the water's colder, they feed up more. I feel like they're not burning as much off. I don't know. It's just something. I mean, you look at our 8 pounders out here on Okeechobee, and they're just disgustingly big. So it's at 11.8. Listen, I've never caught an 11 pounder, I've never caught a 10 pounder, but I know the fish was an 11.8. I think it because of the non. So I'm just calling it a 10 pounder, but I truly won't know what that fish weighed. Kind of upset with that scale. But anyway, big giant fish on a live bait. It was super cool. And yeah, I mean, and that was on the worst day possible. Misty rain, freezing cold. Never. I think the high was 45 that day, 46. I don't know what the water temp was, but it was cold. But following that, the fishing, artificial fishing, has been a grind. But I've been bouncing back and forth from the north end to the south end. I'm not going to, disclose exactly where I've been fishing, but catching them on a different array of things. But mainly it's been a chatterbait for me. Fishing a chatterbait extremely, extremely slow has kind of been the ticket. And I mean, obviously this just a dark color, a black and blue, it doesn't matter. And just fishing it crazy slow has been getting me some bites, a little bit of flipping here and there, but just really taking my time and milking these areas. And everywhere I've talked to, everyone's kind of been doing the same thing. Maybe not with a chatterbait, maybe they've been mixing in a speed worm or maybe fishing a Senko. But the name of the game right now is fish very slow. Hopefully that changes here over the next day or two as our water continues to warm. We're still hovering at like 16.5 foot, but the weather's looking good here for the next few days. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, been having some good customers on my boat, and been having a lot of people getting on my boat wanting to learn. And that's something that's super fun and I enjoy doing. I love teaching people. And it's funny because I complain about the very thing I'm doing. It's almost like, and I'm not saying I'm an expert fisherman. Okay. That's not what I'm getting at. But I think I attribute a lot of my success as an angler to not having a good coach, if that makes sense. Now, my dad, my brother, right? Like I had people that taught me a lot about the sport of fishing. And, obviously my dad taught me how to tie knots and he taught me all this stuff. But there's a lot of like I said, you guys hear me say it all the time. My dad is a 3-trick pony. He throws sometimes a crankbait. He throws a 10-inch red shad Charlie's worm, and he throws a gambler cane toad. 365. That's it. That's what he does. And he's not a tournament guy, but he's just, he just likes to go fishing, and he's a great fisherman, catches fish. But like my brother got me into the tournaments, but like so much has evolved in the industry, right? Like over the past 10 years since I really got back into the bass thing. And I didn't have someone that I fished with day in and day out so I had to teach myself the techniques, like about a chatterbait, right? Like we never owned chatterbaits, so I had to teach this to myself, the flipping thing. So what I'm trying to get at is, like, I feel like people come on my boat to try and learn things, but they try to learn 20 years of knowledge in an 8-hour day. And you're not going to do that. And you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to just not take away the key deals that you would if you just, like, people will say, all right, I want to learn this, 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 and this. I want to know why you throw this, 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 and this, as opposed to just saying, take me fishing. And and stepping back and watching how I approach, right? Because you might say, I want to learn a chatterbait. Now the whole focus of the day is me thinking about where the hell we can go throw a chatterbait. And maybe the conditions don't line up for it. And I'm trying to think, all right, we got to go throw a chatterbait here. Whereas if you were just to sit back and I'll say, hey, we're going to go flip these mats. Well, or we're going to go throw a frog over here and just see why I decide to throw what and when and how I break down the water for that particular day and just pick up on things. I feel like, I have no problem answering questions. I love it. But I feel like so many people want to learn so much so fast, and that's just not the way to do it. And I'm not bad mouthing anybody. I'm not complaining about any of my customers. I'm just using this as like a way to give you guys a tip. Um, go fishing. Like, get out there and go fishing. Don't. It's like, I don't know. And you got to do it what feels good to you also. Like, I always say with my swim jigs and my chatterbaits, I only throw a half ounce. 90% of the people on Okeechobee with both of those throw a 3/8. But again, I didn't do the research. I didn't do anything like when it came to a swim jig or a chatterbait. I just bought and went and then played. And for me, I like a half ounce for a swim jig and a chatterbait. And I have my reasons, right? Like, I feel like it keeps the bait a little bit lower. Yes, it may hang a little more when you're talking about a chatterbait over submerged grass. But some people might think, oh, well, it's, the high drill is real thick, so I'm going to go to a 3/8, where I never do, because I just know this bait. I feel like I'm in tune with it. I feel like when I throw that half ounce out there with the trailer that I use, I know even if it is getting bogged, I feel like I can make better adjustments with my setup, with my rod and reel, with my positioning, with my mechanics to make that bait fish more efficiently, as opposed to going to a 3/8 where it just feels different. You know what I mean? So you got to do what works for you and what you like. And don't worry about what I'm throwing. Or like you might say, what color, or a lot of people, when they ask me questions, you'll hear me always say, I don't think it matters. And that's not me being lazy. That's not me telling you I don't feel like answering you, or I don't feel, that's not what it is. I truly don't think it matters a lot of times. Or like people ask me like, what trailer do I use? I use a Yamamoto Zaka or Seiko, whatever the hell they call it. That's what I use, right? And then people will ask me like, well, why don't you throw a Little Easy, a Gambler Little Easy, or a dip or skinny dipper on the back like everyone else does, or a what's the other popular one that a lot of people are throwing? The Hog Farmer Dragon Tail. I don't know. But you could throw that, because I really don't think if I'm throwing a Seiko and you're throwing a Gambler Komodo, or if I'm throwing a Seiko and you're throwing a Little, I really don't think it makes a big difference. I really don't. Maybe in some situations, but when it comes down to it, right? It's a freaking jig head with a planer board on the front that vibrates harder than anything in Mother Nature. And it's green pumpkin and black and blue, which are not even colors that are in Okeechobee, right? In nature. And they eat it. So you think they're like it? I feel like the trailer is like, yeah, it gives you confidence. So throw what you like. Throw what, at least to start out. Like, I feel like people, like, they think they're just gonna get it. Like, I don't know how to throw a chatterbait, so don't do that. Just go buy some and play around. Don't listen to anybody. Throw what works for you. My favorite thing is when I have a customer on the boat that like just pulls something out, or like they say, they might be bringing their own equipment and say, what do you think we're going to be doing tomorrow? And this isn't a learning trip. This is a fishing trip. This is someone just wanting to come fish and come fish with me. And I say this, and this. And my favorite thing is when like they just pull a rod out like a swim jig, right? I'll say we're going to be throwing a swim jig in the morning. They don't get on the boat and say what trailer do you use or this and that. They just pull it out and fish. And the coolest part is when I look at it, I go and I'll ask them like, what kind of trailer is that? Or what what kind of swim jig is that? Just because I'm a nerd, like it's not that I'm going to go out and buy those. I mean, I might really like them, and I might switch my trailer up or my swim jig up if I like theirs more. But I'm just a fishing nerd, so I might want to look at it. But then they ask me like, "Oh, what swim jig do you throw?" "Oh, yeah, that looks like a good one, but I like this one." Like they're fishing with what they have confidence in, and that's what you need to do as an angler. And you need to this is a slow build up of learning with this game. And I feel like the faster you learn, the worse of an angler you are. It's trials and tribulations. It's everything. It's making mistakes, losing fish, unfortunately, getting frustrated, then making adjustments. Like, but you gotta have those mistakes to make you realize what you like and what you're doing wrong and learn. What you like in a bait, what you like in a rod and reel, what you like to throw a bait on. Like perfect example, my customers today were awesome fishermen. They were great, um, great dudes. Had a lot of fun with them, and they're here for like a week. And I told them we were going to be probably throwing a chatterbait today, and both of them threw their chatterbaits on braid. That's a that's not what I do. I just don't do it. Um, I feel like I get more bites on fluorocarbon. And I've explained in my past videos, so we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, why I like fluoro over braid. But when I picked my rod up to kind of throw around with them, they saw I threw fluoro and they didn't immediately say, like, oh, should I be? They just said, no, like, this is what I throw. I throw braid. I mean, they didn't say it, but they didn't ever ask questions. And they caught them, and they caught big fish. And in my opinion, if I was going to fish braid, they did the proper precautions to be successful throwing a chatterbait on braid. Kyle, when he would swing, I could hear his drag slip a little bit. He had his drag loose. He fished it on like a medium action graphite rod. Like he just, they did it right, in my opinion. But who am I to tell them that they're doing it wrong? But they both threw it on braid, and that's just what they like. That works for them. It's just not what and that's what's so cool about this sport. So details matter, but make them details that you pick up on. Don't try to learn the whole game too quick. It's a slow process. Go out there and tinker with stuff. And I've just been getting overwhelmed with so many people asking me questions on things, and I have no problem answering. But I want to answer truthfully, but I don't, because it's going to come off as that I'm being ignorant. Like if I tell you, stop overthinking it, stop thinking that much into it. It's not that crucial. Like make a decision. You know what I mean? Like that. Like here's and I'm gonna get into this again. I don't want to keep going rambling about a chatterbait. This isn't a chatterbait podcast, but this is bruised green pumpkin. It's like a green pumpkin with a black and blue flake chatterbait, right? If I'm catching them on a chatterbait, people will ask me in a text, are you catching them on black and blue or on white? And I say black and blue. Now, some people will just take that and roll with it. Others will see me throwing this and say, you told me you're catching them on black and blue. This isn't black and blue. It's bruised green pumpkin. This is Cody Davis being 100% honest. I can catch an 11-pound bass on bruised green pumpkin, 11-pounder. I could throw it back out there and catch a 9-pounder, reel it in, let it go, throw it out there and catch another 8-pounder. And when I catch that 8-pounder, something happens and my hook bends out or something, and I'm in a tournament fishing for $100,000. I will then cut this off because my hook broke. And if I reach in and grab a black and blue one, that's what I'm throwing. It doesn't make a difference to me. because that fish is not studying, okay, this one has 16 strands of green pumpkin. It's a silhouette, it's dark. Whether you're throwing, I'll do the same with the jet black chatterbait. Z-Man, if you're listening, make me a black skirted chatterbait. That's what I want. Again, why do you think? I mean, I throw a black jig. It's just silhouette. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's essentially when you're asking me, are you catching them on black and blue or white? You're asking me, are you catching them on dark or light? And I just really don't think color makes a big difference throughout the country. Yes, maybe on a clear, obviously on a clear water lake or things like that. But on Lake Okeechobee, it doesn't. Get what you can get what you have confidence in, and go fish it. Um, yeah, that's kind of my little rant on that. And I truly don't think it matters. I see people have anxiety attacks when I pull my beaver bag out to start flipping, and there's literally reaction innovation beavers, bitters beavers, gambler stingers, gambler ugly otters, and missile baits D-bombs in the same bag. Different colors, like hematoma, back at you, black red flake. They're all in the same bag. And I'll grab what I do is, and any of you that fish with me know, if we're going to start flipping, I reach in, I grab a handful of 4 or 5, and I put them on the deck. That way we don't have to keep opening that compartment. And people will say that there's literally 4 different baits there, and that's fine. I'm going to flip it just the same. Just the same. At least that's what works for me. Again, now you might be a detail-oriented person, and it might matter for you. But to me, it just doesn't. And I just feel like so many people get so hung up. This is kind of a podcast the subject I've been wanting to talk about is just go fishing. And maybe I talked about this on one of my old podcasts already. I don't know, and I'm not going to elaborate on it too much, but go fishing. I get inundated with so many text messages and phone calls and emails about lures, techniques, time of year, spawn time, when to throw top, all this stuff. And I follow the people on social media, and they never post pictures of, like, they're never going and utilizing the tools and the techniques they've learned and asked about in research. They don't go put the time in on the water. Time on the water is everything. And it's funny, like, whenever you listen to Q&As, whether it's from an Elite Series pro or a TV show host or something, and everyone always says, what's the number one tip? And they always say, go fishing. And everyone I talk to is always like, yeah, that's just an easy answer just to move on to the next question, but it's not. That is everything. Going back to, I didn't really have like a coach for me to learn like certain techniques, like I said, everything that we use. And because it's evolving so quick, and like I just went out and tried to learn it. Going like to the pier, right, that I went to today. I had to go to Juneau Pier because my pier is still not repaired yet, Deerfield, from the storm. But went to Juneau. Like, my parents, we lived near the beach, but I wasn't born into like a saltwater fishing family, so I had no background in saltwater. Especially the relatives I did have that saltwater fish had nothing to do with a pier. They were all offshore guys. So when I first started fishing the pier and got into that pier culture, like, I just thought it was the coolest thing. And for those of you that really don't know, like, I went to Deerfield Pier with a buddy of mine. His mom had to go meet her girlfriends for lunch on the beach. So she was going to be at lunch for like 2 hours, and she asked my buddy Stanley, like, do you want me to drop you off on the pier for 2 hours? And I remember Stanley asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, well, I'm going to go to the pier. I mean, it's a dock in the ocean. Like, no. And he's like, well, come with me, because I had no one else to go with them. And I was like, I'll go out there and see what it was. And like, I'll never forget walking out there that day, like walking and just like looking over on the beach and seeing the bull sharks go down the beach, seeing the snook stacked under the pier, seeing the tarpon swimming through the pilchard schools, and just like, wow, this is so cool. Like, it was a Chamber of Commerce day, just beautiful, crystal clear water in the summer. And I had a big Penn spinning reel out there at the time on a rod. I don't even know where I got it from. And had no idea what I was doing. Someone caught a blue runner. I hooked it on, threw it out, and a damn 20-pound snook came up and ate it. And I caught my first big snook I ever caught, and it was off the pier. And like, I caught that fish, and then just like everything around it, the morale around it, like it wasn't just like I hooked this fish. It was like I hooked the fish. Two guys were like, "Yo, he's got a big snook," moving rods for me, like helping me maneuver the rod. A guy's running and getting a landing net, lands my fish. I pick this fish up. Like we all take pictures. Everyone there like high fives. We let the fish go, and then everyone just kind of goes about their merry way. And I was like, I like this. This is so different. I just caught a fish. To me, was a fish of a lifetime at the time, and it was just such. And then at that point, I just caught this big fish, and I just got to sit down and like sit on the bench, and I was just watching these guys fish. And I was a fisherman at the time. I'm trying to think how old I was. I was probably 13, 12, something like that. And I was obsessed with fishing already. And I just remember like, I was like, these guys aren't just guys that just had nothing better to do on a Saturday and just wanted to go and wet a line and enjoy, get some sun. These guys were fishing, like all custom fishing rods, high end gear. These guys were doing it. And I was like, this is like a legit thing out here. And I like fell in love with it. And if I didn't go out there that day, I truly don't know where I would be today without that day on that pier. Like for real. I mean, I literally, all 5 of my groomsmen in my wedding, I met on that pier. And they're my best friends, obviously, to this day. The best memories I'll ever have in my life were out there. But like what I'm getting at is my dad didn't pier, no one pier fished. So it was literally me getting dropped off out there the years following, fishing like a complete idiot. And out there, it was, and maybe that's where I get kind of like, this is what I mean by like when I say I complain, because on the pier, it wasn't, there's no videos at the time. There was no such thing as YouTube. There was no, and it was like, it wasn't like, hey man, can you show me how to do this? You know, you'd go up and ask someone a question, and it was basically like, screw you, do it yourself. That was literally the answers we would get. We would literally show up. So you picture a pier, it comes out and makes a T, right? And when I first started going out, like I'd inch out to the T and like throw a line in the water as a kid. And like, maybe it was rough that day, and maybe the locals and the regulars were using 8 ounces of lead to hold bottom so their baits wouldn't get tangled. And I only had 4 ounces. And I'd go out there and throw it, and I know my line's drifting, and I'd go to catch a bait and come back, and my line's cut. Because one of the regulars just cut my line. Like, no, get the hell out of here. You're not doing this right. You don't, go learn. And a lot of you were like, oh, well, those guys sound like assholes. A lot of them were, but it made me so much better. Like, no, they're using 8 ounces for a reason. They have a system. 8 ounces holds your weight in place. There's 25 of us fishing on a 40-foot wide platform. You get one idiot out there, being me at the time, that doesn't rig their rod right. Now your line's drifting. All of us are tangled. No one's catching anything. So it made me like pay attention myself. Not really as much ask questions, but just pick up on things. What pound line they were using, leader, rigs, how they did stuff, how they tied wire. I didn't know how to tie wire. I didn't know how to do, this is being honest, I don't even remember where I got the fishing rods to go out there originally. What rods and reels to buy. I didn't have money, but what rods and reels to ask for Christmas. Like how everyone says, what do you like to throw a chatterbait on? I was like, what do we throw bottom on? What do we flatline sardines on? And it was a legit, I'm still learning. I learned stuff today out on the pier that I didn't really ever realize. There were things I was looking at, and how to rig, how to tie, what lures work out there, what bait fish are what, how to catch bait, how to keep bait alive. And again, there was no coach for that. And there isn't a coach for that still to this day. And, I kind of took that into my bass fishing when I got back into bass fishing. Like, I started fishing with my buddy Matt again. And then like, I'm very good about asking questions, but at the same time, I'm very good about just picking things out. And like, I think I've said it before in my videos, like FLW if you go back and watch the videos or watch the Elite Series, but like FLW used to do a thing where like if a Toyota was won or a Tour was won, they would post like it would say like Brian Thrift smashes them on final day at Lake Eufaula, and there's no talking. It's just literally the 5 big fish clips from his limit on the final day. And I would learn so much from those videos because I'm watching a master at work. Like I'm watching the best in the world at what that person does do something. And he's doing it and he's not doing it any different because he's explaining it. Sometimes if someone's trying to break down how to flip cypress trees, they might not do it to the best of their ability because they're focused more on teaching than doing it themselves. So you're watching this guy fish for 100 grand, all the little things he's doing, like how long he's letting the bait sit, how he's setting the hook with a certain rod or reel, or does he reel into him? Is he shaking the jig when it's coming out? And it's up to you as the student to like pick up on that. No one owes you anything. Pick up on it. Watch them. And not sometimes I'd watch those videos 20 times and pick up on little things the second to last time. Um, perfect example, like I went to Juneau Pier today, and like I said, I brought the cameras because I was going to try and catch a big kingfish on a plug, and we'll just try to get a pier video for you guys to do something different. So Deerfield Pier, where I grew up, is primarily a live bait pier, and we would, and I'm not going to get into the rigs and stuff we would use, but we'd catch some fish on like a bucktail jig or something. We'd catch mackerel or some small kings. But the cool thing about Juneau Pier being 40 miles to the north of us, I don't even know the exact distance, but they catch a lot of big kingfish on big plugs, lipped plugs, like a Rapala X-Wrap, but the biggest one they make, the size 14. That's the go-to plug out there. It's essentially the size of this Strike King Spook, but it's a flip plug. It's got just a shallow lip on it. And for whatever reason, like those guys have been catching big kings out there on that for years, decades, some of them. So again, like you think of a lipped plug, you think of a kingfish, right? And I've caught a few kingfish on plugs, and I've caught a really big one about a month ago. Any of you that follow me on social media, unfortunately, the sharks got them. But again, like it's just something I'm learning. Like I really want to get into catching them on the plugs because I've caught them, but I don't consider myself dialed. And when it comes to like live baiting and trolley rigging and throwing bottom with conventional gear, or even flatlining with live bait off the pier, I feel like I know what I'm doing. But this plug thing interests me. And you think of a kingfish, right? You think of this fast moving pelagic fish with teeth, and you think of a lipped plug, you're thinking of like a jerk bait, like for us bass guys, working a mega bass, jerk bait, like real erratic, real this, real that. You're fishing for a fish that can go 40 miles an hour. So a lot of times it was always like throw the plug and just kind of burn it. And like over the past year or so, even today, just really studying how these guys work a plug. Like I don't ask them because they might not even know how they work it. This is just through trial and error and out of habit now, like what's the word? Muscle memory. They know how fast they reel it. And it's funny, like I've asked people on the pier that are not bullshitting me. So a lot of people are going to say, well, it's because they're bullshitting you. But some guys that I've grown up fishing on this pier with for my whole life. And I'll ask them, like, do you like to burn? And they'll almost be like, well, no, I work it slow. And the slow they show me how they work this plug is slower than the cadence they work the bait in the 35 casts before that, because I was watching them. But they reel it a little faster than they realize when they're just fishing. So I watch, I was watching these guys work this plug because I always thought you're reeling it fast. A lot of these guys, it's just a slow, methodical wobble with some pauses in there to get the bite. And again, you can ask somebody something, but it was more like me sitting back and watching how these guys did it, guys that were masters at their craft. So I don't know. I didn't catch anything today. I missed the kingfish bite of the century by like 2 days. But we'll get back out there. I want to do some pier fishing stuff, and I love it. I didn't mean to go off on a whole pier tangent there, but catching big fish from land saltwater fish from land. I love it. It's just so cool. So, but that's what I mean. Like, it's just learning. Fishing's so cool because there's so many little tricks and techniques. Like, I learned a different knot the other day, and I'm obsessed with tying it just because it's something different in the arsenal. And it was something that I really didn't need to switch up, but it was something that, like, it just came to me and I kind of saw it and tried it, and I really like how it came out, and now I like it. And that's what's so cool. Like, putting different hooks on your plugs, right? You might, like, there's nothing better to when you find something that just fine tunes your presentation or your setup just that much more. Like, hooks on a bait. Like, man, these work really good. I really like these. These are the new way I'm going to do it. A trailer on a chatterbait, right? Even though I don't think it matters, but if it makes you feel better, do it. But do it because you made the decision. You like the way that the outcome came out, like how it produced for you, and you dialed it in and you make that. Don't throw this trailer because that's what this person throws. Play with it. Fishing's all about learning and opportunity, and do what works for you. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and I talked to a guy the other day who was telling me some tips and techniques. CJ, if you're listening, I got some of the stuff you gave me. Here's your head right here. I have not used it yet, but I am going to attempt the little trick you told me with this jig head here. I'm excited about that. And that's what's cool. I mean, you get to just pick up on little things people do, and you can try it. But again, like, I'm not going to get into what he told me because it's kind of a secret, I think. But I'm not rushing to go do it. There's a time and place where I just keep that in the memory bank. And then when maybe they're biting, or maybe they're not biting and I need to try something different, let me try what CJ told me about, see if that makes a difference. So, it's pretty, that's just what I'm saying. Be open-minded, fish freely, and do what you think is going to work for you. And don't get overwhelmed. I mean, it's so easy to do anymore with all these different companies and the sponsors and the pros telling you this is the best. No, this is the best. No, this is the best. Do what you like. I'll give, like, it's funny, man. Like, this spook here is the spook that I caught all those fish on in Rollins, and I think legitimately every Rollins tournament this year, our big fish of the tournament has come on this, not like this spook. And I started becoming like more of like a topwater guy, I guess you could say it. And like, I bought it, then I'm not going to name what it was, but and it wasn't this one. I bought a different branded walking bait the other day, and it looked sick. And the damn colors were perfect. But the way I walk a spook is a little bit different than other people walk a spook. And the bait I bought, when I tried to walk it the way that works for me, it just did not work out. It just doesn't want to walk that way. So I think that's why this standard Hayden spook is my favorite, because when I do what I like to do with that rod to make my spook do what I want it to do, it reacts the way I want it to. Now, there's other people that are way better spook fishermen than me that maybe do something a little bit different, where when I say a spook, I'm just talking about like a topwater walking bait. There's guys out there that catch way bigger and more fish than me on it and are pros at it. And they have certain, walking baits that they use because they react the way they want them to. So like things like that, use what works for you. And, don't let people talk you into getting something. I mean, try it, but don't be stuck on it because the pro said so. They'll all be like, oh, this thing's eating up. By the way, this is something funny. And I call customers out on this all the time. And then they kind of feel stupid. And this isn't me bad mouthing my customers, but I've had to like, oh, and then I tell them this and they're like, holy shit. I've never had anyone tell me that. And then they feel kind of dumb and they laugh about it. It's funny. So you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but I've got two walking baits here. All right, this is the spook. And I know you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but you can see like there's paint missing, right? and like all this stuff. It's all beat to hell. And then this is this giant Magnum Strike King sexy dog here. I love this bait. This bait works awesome. It does. I haven't caught a damn thing on it, but it is going to get me a bite here sooner or later. And I just kind of spoiled it there. I haven't had a bite on this, right? I've caught over 100 bass on this spook. They look exactly the same, damage wise. I get so many people that are like, dude, they chew this thing. Look at all the teeth marks and mouth marks on the bottom of my plug. And I kind of laugh a lot of times and I tell them, you must be catching a lot of little bass. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, the hook, the mouth mark is only about this wide. I mean, this is a 8-inch, 7-inch bait or 2-pounders coming up and mouthing it. Or is that where your treble hooks are slapping across the bait, taking the paint off? And they're always like, because that's what happens when you have a lipped bait, like like a rattle trap. They're like, look, they've pulled the paint off of it. No, 9 times out of 10, that's from your hooks doing this with the trap, and it's taking the paint off the side of your plug. I've seen so many pros on TV trying to push a crankbait. And they're like, you could see I'm out here at Chickamauga fishing these ledges, and look, they've just torn the paint. Look at the teeth marks on it. No, that's from your treble hooks rocking back and forth, hitting your bait and taking the paint off. So always remember that. Don't get caught up in that crap. I mean, like this one, I've been chugging this one so hard. Look, it actually chipped the paint. You probably can't see it, but on the black, I mean, it's taking the paint off. Bass don't typically take paint off of baits. It's from metal hitting it, like your hooks. I've had so many customers. Oh man, look, I've had this rattle trap for a year. Look how many fish are caught on it. Look at the teeth marks. Yeah, they're right in line with your treble hooks, your front treble hook. Oh shit, I never thought of that. And then it's always a big joke. So that's it. I talked about if you wanted to get a hold of me. I apologize again. Anyone interested going peacock fishing? We're gonna hold on. I'm being honest with you. A lot of them died in the Everglades this year, or this week due to the cold water. I'm waiting to get a report, see like what's going on down there. I had a lot of people that I mentioned the peacock bass fishing to, and they were all for it. So they wanted to come back in like April and May. I think we're gonna be okay, but I'm waiting for some confirmation that there is still a good population of them that made it. I'm hoping, as much as I hope that they're not there because I want the bass to come back, they are fun. So we'll see. Hopefully that there is a bunch of them still there. I don't know. I think that's it. I don't really know anything else. If you want to book a trip, let me know. If you want to come, so like I said, March has a few days. April, May, June is still pretty open. If you want to come, like I get so many people that are like, man, I want to come down and catch them flipping and catch them on the frog, but I don't want to sweat to death. Can't have it both, princess. If you want to come down and try to catch a big one on a frog or catch them flipping a jig, and April and May is great, guys. It is. It's my favorite time to be on this lake is the end of March to the beginning of June. Right there. That's the juice. So, if you want to get in early, if you're going to be coming down here, let me know. Get you in the book. End of March. This is kind of an announcement. Breezy entered me for Christmas into the Toyota series on Lake Okeechobee for the end of March. So I've never competed in a Toyota series before. So I'm was totally surprised. I'm shocked. Super excited. She did have some help. I guess I could say I'm having some help this year. So thank you, Two Brothers Transport, and definitely, well, I'm not going to mention the other person or the other company that's helping me because I don't want to upset other people, maybe, that the company isn't helping. Nah, screw them. Thank you, Mike Kraus at Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters. Um, he's kind of pitching in a little bit to help. I don't know. I mean, he is legit the man. Um, Here, oh, and let me address this too, actually. So yeah, we'll kind of get on by that. I'm going to be fishing the Toyota Series. I'm extremely excited. I have the best wife in the world. I'm a little nervous, but yeah, it's going to be cool to fish against 200 boats. I'm kind of not going to like it for that because I hate fishing against that many boats. Not because I don't think I'm good enough for this or that, but it's just a lot of boats on the lake. But someone's going to win it. Hopefully, it's me. I'm going to practice hard. Took the whole week off. Super pumped about that. Another thing. This is cool. So, if you learn about Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters from my videos and you go see Mike Kraus up there, which you should if you come to Lake Okeechobee, that's great. If you go in there and you buy 15 packs of missile baits, D-bombs, and say, hey, I'm in here because of Cody Davis. I watch his videos. He told me to come in here. That's great. Do not go in there with a broken something and go to his desk and say, yeah, Cody sent me in here, said you could fix this for me today. Don't do that. Because Mike takes great care of my customers. He does. He does go above and beyond. But at the end of the day, he's running a business. He has a tackle shop, also like boat repair / rigging. He's like 3 weeks out right now to look at a boat. And he's had people on, he had like 3 of them in the past 2 days come in. 3 of you people say, hey, Cody sent me in here. And then Mike stops what he's doing, takes like, it's just, I just need you to do this, which will take 5 minutes, which turns into 3 hours. We all know how boats work. And then he'll call me and be like, hey, man, I just took care of that guy. He was a nice guy. It took 3 hours, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. He's like, you sent him in here to get this fixed. No, I have no idea. So I appreciate the name drop, but don't try, like, the guy's busy. Don't like, and and then he's just pushing his line back. Now, like today or the other day, I had customers that called, asked if I knew anybody that could look at their trolling motor. And instead of just saying, go to Mike Kraus, I called Mike. First, I asked the customer what the trolling motor was doing. I called Mike to ask him if there's a simple solution that my customer could do to fix on the water so that they're not going to Mike's shop and bothering him. He knew what it was. He said, not really. There's nothing he can do to fix that. It's a 20-minute fix. This customer just happened to be going fishing with me. So he said, tell him to leave his boat at my shop, and I'll attempt to get to it today, if not tomorrow. That's like a 20-minute fix. If everyone leaves me alone, I should be able to fix it. He got it done. He got it fixed. But that doesn't always happen. Boats break, things happen, emergencies happen. He's running, just him and in Luann, they're running a tackle shop and a boat repair shop. So there's a lot going on. But I appreciate the name dropping, but guys, like, don't go in there trying to think it's going to get you out the door a little quicker, because it's taking time from customers that have been, that made a schedule with Mike to drop a boat off, and he says it'll be done Monday for them to come pick it up, and now he's getting pushed back to like Wednesday, and that's just not right. But I do greatly appreciate all of you that are going to shop at Mike's. I keep calling it Mike's, but Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters, and going up there to check it out, because I'm telling you, like, he's the man. He's just awesome people. He's got stories for days. I just go, like, if I have a trip at 10 a.m., I get up there at 8 and shoot the shit with Mike for 2 hours if he's not super busy. I'll sit there in the tackle shop and drink Mountain Dew and just hang out. So if you guys are ever up there, there's a good chance that you might run into me there. And I'm more than happy to hang out and talk. But he's good people. And like I said, I mean, I have nothing wrong with Tackle Warehouse, nothing wrong with online shopping. But if you're down here on this lake, they're not coming to help you to your rescue if something happens to your boat. A lot of times, even if Mike can't get to it and fix it, he knows somebody that can. So he's always there to help you guys out. He wants you to enjoy your stay and have a good time out here on Lake Okeechobee. And he just knows everybody. I mean, he's just an awesome guy. So I can't say enough good things about him. And he has an awesome tackle shop with everything you're going to need. So that's it. I've been talking for about an hour now. Let me know in the comments if you want me to keep doing these. If you don't, if you think I'm just rambling. But I guess I'm going to go take a shower and go to bed because I got to be out there on the big pond tomorrow. And then when I get done, I think it's going to be boat wash and yard work time. So appreciate the comments. Let's get this up to 3,000. I want 3,000 not views on this. I doubt. I mean, most people's attention span doesn't go this long, but I want to make 3,000 subscribers. Not that it matters, but tell your friends, tell your family, like and subscribe. I don't have my sunglasses here, but if you guys want to save money on some Waterland sunglasses, I think I'm Tight Splice. Yeah, just Tight Splice in the code in the coupon box or whatever it is. Tight Splice. I don't think it's Tight Splice 15. Try Tight Splice. If it doesn't work, then it's Tight Splice 15. But it saves you 15% off the Waterland sunglasses. Guys, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but again, they gave me a few pairs of them, all right, to talk about them. I literally got in trouble for not talking about them soon enough because they sent them to me and they were like, you need to make a post. You need to make a post. And I said no because I didn't know if I liked them yet. And I'm not going to push something that's shit. Dude, they're awesome sunglasses, guys. Like, I wear them every day. And I've got a couple pairs and I'm not just wearing them because they're free. Sunglasses are something I'm very particular about. Comfort, this and that. But the lenses on these things, like, they're a green lens that I recommend. They make a blue or a green. The green, I mean, they're great. It's almost like it not only cuts the glare, but it almost like I've noticed it almost like enhances the watercolor and makes it brighter. And I think it helps a lot with our darker water down here on Okeechobee. I don't know, but they're great. I fished them in the salt water today on the pier. Was able to see my plug pretty far out. Was able to see some fish down deep. Some hammerheads swimming by and some pods of tarpon and things. They're great. They're super comfortable. They're light, and they're already cheaper than a lot of the big competitors out there. But to save 15%, Tight Splice. I don't remember if it's 15 or not. Try both. I don't know. I'm not a good pro staff member, obviously. So great product, and the guys over there are super cool. So that's it. And hopefully sooner than later, maybe I'll have a day I can squeeze out and do some filming. There is a BFL coming up in 2 weeks. I might jump in if the weather's going to cooperate. Not that I'm a fair weather fisherman, but I'm not going to go spend $300 to jump in a tournament where it's nasty on my day off. So if it's not that one, me and Breezy are going to be fishing the King of the Glades tournament after that. There will be a video for that. So that's in like 2 weeks. And I am going to the Georgia woods. I'm going to be going up to Georgia next weekend for the end of rifle season. If you guys want me to document some me hunting, trying to shoot a deer, let me know. Maybe I'll do that. But let me know in that, and then just keep an eye out for the next couple fishing videos. So appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.